Any interesting or favorite memories with other artists or producers you had a chance to be around or work with you want to share with us today, looking back now at your career?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, any interesting or favorite memories with other artists or producers you had a chance to be around or work with you want to share with us today?
Hmm,
Anything you want to leave us with?
that's interesting.
12 years of being a full time recording artist. Any interesting or favorite
It's a
memories?
few. I the time I met Doc. I met them all at the same time. I met Dr. Dre, Eminem, and J. Cole all in the same studio session. I don't know what the fuck Dr. Dre was working on. We had a lot of people involved. I actually wrote shit that, of course, that was never used, but nothing was ever used. But I was sitting with J. Cole actually. J. Cole before like J. Cole now is like fucking shit. Either way, he was up and coming right then, and most people don't know. For people that do know me or know my process, I eat a lot of candy. Not so much now as I used to, but still, like that was my vice, if anything. Like no drugs, no alcohol. I just need some candy to keep me running. But I was in the studio. I was sitting with J. Cole. I don't know what they was working on before I got in there. I must have had about 8 packs of Starburst, and I was picking out the reds out of them. This is before they made like fave red packs or some shit. But either way, I was picking the red colors out of all of them. I had a few different kinds, and J. Cole was trying to figure out why I was leaving so many of them to the side. So I guess that was interesting because other than that, I've never as crazy as it sounds, I never shared candy with strangers, let alone with rappers. But he took the well, some of them. Not I left a lot of it. So either way, I thought that was pretty cool. I ain't much I wasn't really familiar with Jay. I knew who he was, but I wasn't really familiar with his music. And later on, how could you not be familiar with it? But it was cool to even just be in that environment. And Eminem was recording that whole time. I didn't even know he was actually recording. I'm hearing his shit, but I'm thinking that it's just coming out the speakers until he was like, "I run it back" or some shit, and I was like, "Where the fuck is he?" And the way they had their studio designed, you couldn't see the booth from inside of the studio. And when I walked in, the shit was already playing anyway. So I'm thinking they just playing some shit back. So that probably was my what they call like starstruck moment, groupie moment or some shit. Cause like Eminem always been like one of my favorite rappers. So I went from sitting in there like, oh, it's pretty cool. I'm here with J. Cole, you know, uh, Dr. Dre is working on okay, and that's how I got my first set of Dre beats. Actually, the headphones. Dr. Dre reached behind some shit and handed me like two cases of headphones. Either way, that kind of that shit was historic for me because like I said, I didn't even know Eminem was present. And after I realized he was in the building, I had to meet him after that. And he was it's a lot quieter than I expected him to be. And I think I think that was like a historic moment for me. Um, First time I recorded with Lito was kind of historic for me because when I first met Lito, I was expecting him to be more like a rapper and be all arrogant and be super. I rap better than everybody in super rapper mode, and it was the total opposite. We can sit down and we can talk and we can create. And clearly, as you can see now from that, we developed a bond and became more like family. But we was two complete strangers, and I was expecting more of his ego to be present, and it wasn't. Same way with Dolph actually. My first time recording with Dolph, I didn't. I really wasn't familiar with him. He was coming up then. Either way, we got in the studio and we started working, and it was like a mutual respect thing. And same with Star, it's just we developed a personal bond from that. and just seeing them work. They work two different. Well, we all work like 3 different ways, but just experiencing that, I think that was pretty cool. And then as Dolph, escalated in his career, he became more and more of an artist. When he first started, you could tell like this was a hustle for him when he first started, and even though I doubt Dolph ever really cared about like I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna say the hardest punchlines or whatever the fuck. I can't picture I can't picture the idea that Dolph cared about that. But I think the further he got in it, he started to enjoy it and he started to love actually create music. And that was fun to see to see it in person, to see the transition from he rapping because he in a trap and he can do it, and he got the he got the swag for it, and then he made it to a point where shit, I know what I'm doing, I can do this shit, and I think that was great.
Now that you've mentioned these 3 different memories, I'd like to dissect them just a little bit further.
Okay.
Okay, let's start with the very first one.
Okay.
Where it was you, J. Cole, Eminem, and Dr. Dre. Was
Right.
these? I mean, you were once signed to Interscope, and all these artists you mentioned.
I wasn't signed yet, actually. I wasn't signed to Interscope yet.
Because all these artists you just mentioned were all Interscope artists.
Right.
J.
Well,
Cole,
I don't know
Eminem.
if J. Cole was Interscope. I know J. Cole was with Jay-Z, but I don't know if he was ever Interscope or not. That's that's beyond me. But I mean, there's a few more people in the studio at that same time. You had Polo the Don was in there.
That's Interscope.
And Jimmy Iovine was in there.
That's Interscope.
Right. I mean, of course, you're right. But that's what I'm saying. I just don't know if J. Cole was in the scope at that time or at any time really. But that was something. I don't know. I don't really even know how I got the opportunity to be in that space. I didn't set that up. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't. Nobody called me and planned that. I went to. I came to Detroit to meet with Jimmy Iovine. That just so happened to be where we met, and it wasn't like a fucking surprise party or a welcome party or no shit like that. I walked in and them people was already working, and Jimmy was doing something else. So they told me just wait in there, and in there was the studio, and I feel at home in the studio anyway. So when I sat down then, I didn't even notice the environment until I didn't notice the people in the room. I could see they got an engineer and it's a person right here writing. But other than that, I didn't really catch it until I sat down and Dre came out of something. And when he came out of something, of course, I noticed Dre firsthand. We spoke, we talked for a second. And then, I pay attention now that, it's a person. I knew it was a person beside me. I never focused on who was beside me. But that's when I realized that J. Cole was beside me. Because wherever the fuck he came out of, that's who he was initially talking to. And then, we spoke, we introduced us. Of course, I introduced myself. There was no need for Dr. Dre to introduce himself to me. I'm certain he knew that already. But either way, that I don't know how that came about. That shit just happened. I was in the right place at the right time, some kind of magical way.
Okay, so I would want to apologize here. I did look up J. Cole's information, and you are correct. He is Rock Nation. I mistakenly thought he was Interscope.
But that don't mean that he never was Interscope. That's the tricky thing about the music business. Like, I'm not saying it's happened. I don't know much about J. Cole's situation other than that he signed with Jay-Z. But it's it's perfectly possible that he was scouted there first, and then whatever didn't work, and they moved him elsewhere.
What made me think he was Interscope was because when it comes to Rock Nation, they have 2 departments. They have a record label department, but they also do management.
Right.
So I was thinking initially J. Cole was management by Rock Nation, but may be signed to Interscope. But I just looked up his title history, and all his projects do not say anything Interscope related as far as the accreditation. It all says Rock Nation. So
okay. I thought I was. Well, like I said, I didn't know, but
But everybody else we've named is definitely Interscope.
Yeah, every one of those people was Interscope at that moment, and now that was I want to say that was like an Interscope studio or something. I don't really know, and I was in Detroit, so up until I realized Eminem was present, I ain't expect, just because I'm in Detroit, that Eminem's gonna be in here too. I mean, I've been to Detroit a few times, and Eminem was nowhere present. So
Now, this leads me to some other questions here.
okay.
Okay, you were there for a meeting with Jimmy Iovine, but how did it go from you're just meeting with Jimmy Iovine, you're not signed to Interscope yet,
Right.
but you start writing for Dr. Dre in that session, or was that another time in your life where you write for Dr.
No,
Dre?
it was in that session.
So
It
how
was
did
from a
that?
conversation me and Dr. Dre was having, and I don't remember verbatim, but he asked to hear something, or see what I can do, and I fucked with it. And I don't know if it was good or bad because it didn't come out at all. So I don't shit. I don't really don't know.
Did any of the music you heard that night, even the Eminem song, did that ever see the light of day?
I don't even know actually. I was so overwhelmed with. At first, I was listening. I'm listening like, okay, it's new Eminem shit, and I'm thinking like, I'm not the only one that ever heard this shit. Me and J. Cole. Okay, that's pretty cool. The super new Eminem shit. And when he stopped and he was like running back, I'm like, okay, he recording this shit right now. Once that happened, I couldn't focus on the song no more. I was shit. I'm in the studio with Eminem. I wasn't even in the studio with Eminem. He was in the booth that's attached to, where the mic runs into the. I'm in the control room. He's in the booth. I ain't know shit about where the booth was. Up until that point, I was used to the vocal booth being inside of the control room, and I'm looking and there's no, the door that Dr. Dre came out of wasn't the booth. So after realizing Eminem was in there, I couldn't tell you what I rapped about on Dre's song. I couldn't tell you what I had on. I didn't remember shit else.
Okay, it's one thing to be starstruck, but
Indeed.
after being starstruck, were you nervous at all when it came to actually getting in there and writing and doing your part?
No, that felt more like it felt more like I was meant to be in the space. If that I'm not like really philosophical or no shit. I just felt like I was in the right space. I felt like this is what I do, and I'm in my environment. I just so happened to be in my environment with Dr. Dre in here, and like I said, J. Cole wasn't as big as he is now, and that probably would have added more pressure had it been that me and a fucking megastar J. Cole. I probably would have been nervous then, but other than that, it wasn't. I didn't look at J. Cole as competition to me, if that makes sense. Now I don't know, I'm better or he better kind of shit. It just wasn't, I looked at him like he's trying to come up and I'm trying to come up. And, realize Eminem is in there and Eminem was always has been, he was on another fucking tier. So I didn't look at him like I was competing with him either.
So you almost look at J. Cole like a classmate, for lack of a better phrase, a peer. In a sense,
If anything, I would say in that perspective, or
at the time,
I would say I was a freshman, and I came and I sat in the cafeteria with a senior, cause after that shit, his shit went Jesus.
But was J. Cole a senior at that time, though?
Yeah, I think he was graduating high school right then, and then he jumped into the big leagues.
Oh, and you were a freshman in high school at that time.
Yeah. I was
Not
learning.
literally,
Like I said, I made a lot of
figuratively.
right. Cause it was a lot of mistakes I made. During that time, I had cause the record deal came maybe 18 months after that. So a lot of the moves.
Talking about the letter?
Letter to My Son.
Yeah.
Letter to My Son was already present.
What
I
record
dropped
are you
Letter
talking
to My
about?
Son in 2009. It didn't pop until 2011.
So what record are you referencing here?
I mean the record deal, not the actual song.
Got you.
But my situation was I was panning my situation out, and J. Cole was his shit was already in motion. He was building, so
Not nervous,
right.
but starstruck initially.
Yeah, of course.
How about intimidated?
No, I wasn't intimidated. If J. Cole was a senior and I was a freshman, then shit, Eminem was a fucking college professor coming to visit the high school or some shit. And I was amazed, if anything. I didn't expect, I doubt that he did, but I wasn't expecting Eminem to like listen to whatever I recorded or be familiar with me, or I wasn't expecting him to interact in no shape, form, or fashion. I knew what I was there for had nothing to do with Eminem. I just happened to, be in the mix at the right moment.
So was J. Cole writing for Dr. Dre or something for Dr. Dre?
I don't know what the fuck J. Cole was doing. When I came in, he was writing, but Eminem was playing. So I don't know if it was one of them things. Like some people, some artists just write, and it don't matter if the song that's playing is theirs or for them, or if the beat that's playing. Some people just write, and for all I know, he was just doing that, or he might have been writing to a Dr. Dre song that wasn't playing yet. I don't really know. Sometimes I can get in the zone for that. Like if I'm writing for a song right now and the engineer come in, they gotta do something else while I'm writing this. I can with the song still in my head, I can continue writing even if something else is playing. I don't doubt that he could do the same thing, but I have no idea. I don't know what the fuck he was in there doing. And he probably know what the fuck I was in there doing either. I don't even remember any of that.
Aside from sharing Starburst with J. Cole,
right? That's probably gonna be the sound bite or the title of the interview. True, sir. Starburst with J. Cole.
What was J. Cole like?
Now, neither one of us talked very much. That's actually the only conversation we had was about the candy. He was doing whatever he was doing, and I was just waiting. And before I realized Eminem was actually recording while I was sitting there, I just thought Eminem song was playing. So I'm just chilling. Like I said, I came to meet with Jimmy, so I'm just, waiting. If anything, the control room was the waiting room for me. So I'm just chilling. And he like, bro, just wondering, why you taking those out. And, the only conversation we had was literally about the Starburst.
Now, what about, you already described Eminem. What was Dr. Dre like?
Dr. Dre was, he was having a conversation with Polo about exercising. They was making a bet or some shit. They was making a bet about some kind of exercise shit. The terms and phrases they was using, I was unfamiliar with. But these two niggas was drinking water out the big gallon, like milk jug gallon. They drinking water out of that like they cups. Like Dre holding one and Polo holding one. And I've seen people drink out the water jug. They got lines on and shit, drink a certain amount. They drinking this shit like it's a cup of water. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And they both was yoked. It's like, they both like they was on the yard. So I'm like, man, I don't know, what the fuck they do on their free time. But they was having a casual conversation. They was kicking it. And like I said, for the most part, I wasn't in there like, it's easy to hear what I just said and look at it like they was scouting me or some shit. But they wasn't paying me no fucking attention. They was doing what they was doing. I was there to meet Jimmy, and that was the gist of it. And I didn't really interact with anybody, in a deeper sense than the few words that we did share.
Which leads me to Jimmy. What was Jimmy like?
Jimmy was kind of like you. Like he wasn't loud. He was direct. He was a man of very few words. He was what's the best way? Soft spoken, and and clearly it's Jimmy Iovine that was talking, so it was worth everybody tuning in to see what he had to say. But every time he spoke, no one, nobody else spoke while Jimmy was speaking. At any moment that Jimmy ever spoke that I ever witnessed, once he had something to say, and he had to say, hey, calm down or nothing. Once he started talking, everybody's tuned in, and I think that was some great shit. He was a lot. I'm sure people say that shit about me too, but he was a whole lot shorter than I thought. He was a lot smaller than I thought he was, and that was my first time meeting him. And after that conversation, he invited me to his house. And I want to say maybe the next day or maybe 2 days after the meeting in the studio. And the size of this nigga's house is ridiculous. So, even though he was small, he was larger than life, if that make any sense. And I like, it was things like our initial conversation wasn't about a record deal. It was just about music, and it was shit he was telling me about that I was surprised to know, because I just thought Jim Iovine was the founder of Interscope. I didn't know about him being an engineer. I didn't know anything about him being, producing records, or, all the other shit he was involved in. And, the first couple times we met, we just was having a conversation. And he taught me more shit. He taught me more shit than I knew at that moment as well. And that kind of gave me a different perspective on the music business altogether. Like, I kind of, before then I looked at it like, I want a record deal. That was like the aspiration since I was a child. And I want to, blow up and sign a record deal. And I sat with Jimmy so many times. I had enough conversations that I understood that even if I don't get a record deal, I can still make some shit shake. So I learned some things.
Which house was this, and what was his house like?
Man, I don't know. You said which house? I don't know which house. It was in California. I ain't familiar with like neighborhoods and shit, so I don't know if it was Beverly Hills or Hollywood. I don't know where the fuck it was at. It was on some mountains, and the man's got a lot. I don't know if he even lived there now, but he had a library in his house. He had more than one living room. Man, this nigga had like a fucking waterfall or some shit, like a waterfall walkway, or it was some crazy shit. But it was in the middle of his house, like smack in the middle, like some shit you would see at the airport. It was in the middle of his house, and that shit was amazing. And then, I don't think he drive. I just couldn't imagine him driving. But the couple times I went, I always stopped to look in the garage, and they had all kinds of Ferraris and shit. And I'm sorry, I just couldn't imagine that he was renting any of them. They all looked like they belonged to him. And he had like, the entrance, wherever the fuck they brought me in. And it was wild, because when we pulled in, they took my ID. I'm coming to somebody's house, and they tell me, hey, we need your license. I handed my license. He did not hand it back until it was time to leave. And that was different. They had, the earpieces and shit. It was like the Secret Service was in that bitch. But walking in, he had a garage on both sides, like I don't know if the door was open or it was a doorway. I can't really remember. But the cars he had in them two bitches has the most expensive shits I ever seen in my life. So, and his house was very different. I haven't seen a second house like it.
Was it motivating?
It was definitely motivating. He lived like I live on Grand Theft. It was definitely motivating. Shit.
What'd you end up doing with those Dre Beats?
I still got them. Well, one of them shits I gave away. I probably gave them to my little brother, Bink. And I doubt he still got them, but I still got he gave me, I think they call Pros, the one that they make for DJs. Well, I asked for those. He gave me the regular ones first. And then I asked for the, let me get them Pros. And he gave me some red Pros. They was all red. I still got them shits.
What'd you think about them?
What I think about the headphones?
Yeah.
Oh, I love them. I mean, I'm not signing Interscope, so I get no stake out of promoting fucking Dre Beats. But I liked them then. Oh, I loved them then. Not because I got them from Dr. Dre. They was high ass headphones. It was harder to find, if anything. Now, it's a whole lot simpler. And now, shit, they don't even own it. They sold it to Apple, which Jim Iovine went to Apple. But either way, I think they were some great headphones. I think they don't work well in the booth though. I don't know. Technology's a little different now, but when I got them and when I started using them, I learned fast that they were far too loud for recording. But I don't know. For all I know now, they enhance microphones or enhance the fucking headphones so they're not so loud when you record. So I wouldn't record with them. Not the Pros anyway. I don't know about the other ones.
What were you using them for?
I I
Just
travel.
general playback?
Yeah, that, and I was still recording with them. I knew they wasn't good to
Oh,
record with, but I didn't give a shit. I was recording in the fucking, I was recording in studios that was funded, finger quotes, because I had to recoup it. So it was funded by Interscope. So I knew that they knew how to, mix that shit out. That was, least of my worries.
all right. Let's talk about the memory with Lito.
Indeed.
Was this before the Stepbrothers scenario?
Yeah. I mean, me and Star, I didn't even know him the first time I recorded with him. Uh, we just like I said, shit just I don't know. It was organic. It wasn't unforced. We didn't say, hey man, we're gonna kick it. Let's hang out. I ain't never been like a let's kick it kind of person. So, I sat with him. I just came in and recorded a record. And that one record, from us recording that, we both kind of enjoyed that vibe. And, all right, let's do nothing. And we did another one and that turned into shit. Okay, all right, this could work.
So who initiated this?
That first record,
Yeah. Was it him reaching out to you?
no. The way we ended up meeting was I was on the road with Gotti, and Gotti had to stop in Nashville, and which that's pretty interesting too. Gotti had to stop in Nashville. I was with Zilla and YG. YG name now is Big Homie G. Right. YG now is Big Homie G is with Moneybag now. But either way, I was on the
Endless.
road. Say it again.
He's with Endless.
Right. Well, I don't know like that kind of shit. I mean, that's the person he's with. I don't know as far as like who he's signed to or that kind of shit.
Endless ENT.
No, I'm saying I'm not disagreeing or agreeing.
Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
I don't really know.
Oh.
But I'm saying he I was on the road. I was with them. Star had a partner that was getting the verse from Zed. And we was all on the road together, and Gotti was doing whatever he was doing. There was no reason to be with Gotti while he was doing whatever the fuck he was doing. Or at least no way I could benefit from being with him while he was taking care of his business. So we went to do that, and I just was like, fuck it. It's an opportunity for me to meet Lito. And, Gotti was trying to encourage me to go meet him anyway. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. So, we went with Zed, actually, initially, to do whatever. I don't remember who got the verse from him, but either way, we went for that. And, while I'm chilling, they was upstairs recording. I spoke and all that, and I let them do what they was doing. I went back downstairs, and while I'm downstairs, I can't remember who came to get me, but somebody came and got me, and they was like, so-and-so want to get a verse from you, too. All right, so that's cool. So I go up, and I do the verse, and after we knock all that out, we rap, we talk for a second, and me and him didn't record a record right then. I thought that was pretty cool when I found out after the guy that bought the verse, after he had left, I found out that Star is who convinced him to get a verse from me. And I was like, that's pretty cool because this was a period when rap wasn't paying me much. And I was on the road with Gotti, so I kind of was sacrificing what I was really doing to be doing that. So that give you a perspective of where my pockets was at. I wasn't dead broke, but I was broke. Either way, just the fact that, I don't know this nigga, and he, looked out for me to give me any kind of light. Like I said, that I was expecting him to be more self-centered, more arrogant, more, egotistical. That's the last thing a rapper would do is, is say, hey man, I think so-and-so's, I think his shit is hard too, especially since we was complete strangers. And from that, I felt like that was an olive branch. And, we spoke. After that, I want to say a few days later, we all winded up in Miami together, I want to say. And from that, we talked more. We kind of developed more of a friendship then. And, we kind of said it. We kind of planned it right then to go and record a record. And, like soon as he gets back to the, as soon as we get off the road, I'll take a trip up to Nashville. We'll link, we'll do this record. We planned it. It didn't turn into develop. And then Red Dot, hopefully everybody's familiar with Red Dot. But then Red Dot hit me to do a record I think it's called Light Green Man. I think it was like what they call it, cover. It was a anyway. I went to do a record with Red Dot, and where that record wound up being with Star 2. So that was our first time doing a song together. And from that same night, I don't know how many records we did after that. We started doing original records, started doing Don Trip and Starlito records. Like as soon as we finished recording that. And then that shit just, it became a actual fucking friendship, more of a brotherhood than anything.
And who was the Stepbrothers' idea?
That was Star. He was watching it the whole time we recorded the first record. And I just thought this nigga's crazy because, he's got a whole movie playing. Like, he was recording, he's got a laptop here, and he recording, and he got a laptop here, and he's playing the Stepbrothers movie. And, I ain't understand how he could pay attention to both things at the same time. Eventually, I don't know if he'll admit it or not, eventually, he had to stop watching that fucking movie and start rapping. Because I ain't coming to watch no movie.
So just for clarification here, when you initially meet Lito, you end up getting a paid feature from
one of his partners. I still don't know who. I don't think I ever saw that person a second time. If I did, it was enough time in between for me not to remember who that person was.
When you record with Lito for the very first time, was that a paid feature at all?
Nope, that was me fucking with Red Dot. Red Dot is, it's like Lito's brother. So I was really just, fucking with them. They won. I wasn't even up there on the. I went up there to do features or to get a paid feature. I was just really just up there fucking with them.
So it was just organic collab?
Yeah, it just happened. I think I don't know what the fuck Red Dot was doing. When I came in, he was rapping on it, and this is a point in time where I probably had I had more enthusiasm to rap on another person's beat. I wouldn't dare do it now. But, right then, I was in, that was a point in time. And I'm like, I fuck with that. And I jumped on it. Star jumped on it. And then we started doing, like I said, started doing original records, all in that same session.
But there was never a thought to charge Lito for anything? Or...
No, not even remotely. That never even crossed my mind.
Did you feel like maybe because you got thrown a bone for that paid feature prior to that, you looked at it like, I'm just collaborating here?
No, it was going to be that either way for me, because at that point in time, Lito had already had like a substantial buzz, at least in Nashville and Memphis. I ain't really in tune enough to know how far out it spread. I'm sure it was further than just Nashville and Memphis. But his name was prominent in Nashville and in Memphis. And no matter what, doing a record with him would have been a benefit for me either way. So I ain't look at it like I needed to be paid for it. And like I said, I felt like, the record was more valuable than whatever I could have charged him.
So just for context, at that time when you had met Lito, was your popularity more than his, or his popularity was more than yours?
I don't really know. I think it was in certain places at least, but I honestly don't know. I want to say he was on his way out of the deal with Cash Money. So for sake of argument, I'll say his popularity was higher than mine because he was already dealing with record deal shit. So. And
this was before you had signed to Interscope?
Right.
Okay.
It had to be because he had already had he had the Grey Goose record with Jeezy and shit already. So yeah, I'll say he was more popular than me at that moment.
Got it. Now, when it comes to Dolph, who initiated that?
The Dolph feature was initiated by Larry Live. Larry Live is also with
Moneybagg.
Right. I don't know if he's
with Endless.
Right. I don't know the specifics. I just know he moved with Moneybagg.
He was DJing for Moneybagg at one point.
I didn't know he wasn't at this point. So none of this is because I don't have a disinterest or nothing. I'm one of the people. I mind my business, and none of that really ever has been my business. So I rock with people I rock with, no matter what you do. Like right now, I don't know who you DJ for, but I know you DJ for Gotti at one point. I don't know if you do now or not. Again, that's none of my business. The way I fuck with you is how I fuck with you. Everything else. I commend everything you do, and I don't think I have to. It's not like I gotta okay what you do. You gonna, the fact that you moving is all this. That's all that matters to me.
I personally do not DJ for Yo Gotti, but I did at one point from 2013 to 2016.
I knew it was for a minute, but we knew each other before you started DJing for Gotti. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that to say I have no idea if when I speak on people, I may not know what they're doing at this very moment.
Got it.
But that's got nothing to do with the relationship, so to speak. I rock with him.
So when it came to this Larry Live initiating this feature, was this a paid feature at the time?
Hold on, what was we talking about?
Dolph?
Dolph. No, that was not I was working with Larry. It's hard to call him Larry Live. I know that's the name he preferred to be called. But for right now, I'm gonna have to call him L for the sake of me keeping up with my own shit.
Okay.
L had a studio in Memphis. He was kind of trying to do like like how Devontae did with the whole little basement thing. Not with the all the other shit that went on for their shit. L wasn't doing all that. But either way, he was trying to like build a space where Memphis artists and artists that come in from out of town could come and all record and like create like a creative environment. That how it went. I'll let L tell you about that kind of shit. But either way, I was in the studio. Since I fucked with him, I was recording some of my mixtapes there instead of recording them at the studio I built at home where I was already recording. Just out of love for him, I just felt like it would. Well, we both felt like it would attract more artists to come record. And while we was in there, L had been telling me about Dolph a lot. And he was telling me about Dolph so much that it was irritating. And I'm like when I'm focused, I'm focused. I don't much want to hear or talk or see. I'm not in here watching TV while I'm recording. We're not playing video games while I'm recording. It's if that happens, it happens. But when I'm zoned in, I'm zoned in. So he kept telling me about Dolph. Like I said, at this moment, no one's heard of Dolph. So he tell me about Dolph, and I'm like, all right, man, just set the shit up. If we're gonna rock, then we're gonna rock. We'll do it. I'm with it. And Dolph came in. We did the first record, and it was more about his personality for me than it was the music. I don't remember what the fuck song it was, but either way, we just clicked. I don't even know how it happened. Like I said, that wasn't planned. I wasn't expecting to gain a best friend or gain a friend. Period. I was just working with another artist, and I always felt like the more artists I work with, the broader the broader my talent could grow. Me being around different people and experiencing how other people make music, and that just was one of them things with Dolph. It just became, a brotherhood, same way with Star. And then, years later, Dolph fucking took off as well. He took off like J. Cole on an independent level.
Did you foresee that coming at all?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I didn't look at him like, hey, he's not gonna be anybody. Nor did I look at him and say, oh, he's gonna be the next best thing. I never really got an eye or ear or whatever the fuck you supposed to have for that kind of shit. I just was, I thought he was a cool dude, and he just kept pumping, and shit. He went from, I want to say, I was more popular than him at that moment. And then he shot the fuck off. And, shit, I was proud to see it. I was proud to even witness it. So
you kind of just, I don't know if this answers the question. I don't know if you've answered this question already or not in this conversation.
Okay.
But you described what Dolph was, maybe, I don't know. I want to ask you, what was Dolph like back then when you had met him? But I remember in the conversation you mentioning something like he was a hustler at that time, not
Yeah,
really a rapper. So I don't know if that
definitely.
fits this answer or you had a different answer, but my question is going to be, what was Dolph like at that time when you had met him?
Well, for the most part, that's really what he was.
Okay,
He was a trap nigga that came in to rap. He had a
got it.
CD already and all kinds of shit. And same way I was expecting Star to be, all in his ego and shit. I was expecting the same from Dolph because I've experienced those, the dope boys that turn rappers and they think they the shit immediately because we got the money already or whatever the fuck they be thinking. And Dolph wasn't like that. He came in and like I said, it was a mutual respect. He come in with 1,000 people. He came in by himself actually. And we sat and we played a few beats. We found one we liked. We both rapped, and it was less about the music. It's the conversation that we had more so that kind of created the atmosphere for us to get to know each other. And even like while Dolph was blowing up, it was shit I never could do. It was advice that Dolph was giving me while he was blowing up that I just couldn't. I think at one point we had to have a conversation for him to understand that the things that he did that created the snowball that he maximized off of it and helped him grow into the star he became. Those were things that were part of his personality, part of who he was, and early on, like he didn't quite understand that his path and my path couldn't be identical, if that makes sense. Like it was things he was doing. He was like, "Do this," and I'm like, "I can't do that. I'm not you. You can do that because when they come back to you, you still doing that. If I do that, I'm doing it only because it popped for you. I'm like, that don't work for me. I gotta go with what worked for me. Because no matter what, I gotta be the person that I am. And I think that kind of shit is what made our relationship more personal than music. The fact that he was going where he was going. I wasn't trying to coattail. I was like, so I was proud of this shit. Still proud because the accolades he achieved. I don't think nobody could have saw that shit coming other than himself. And that shit was amazing to see. And the fact that I knew him outside of that, like whenever we linked, it wasn't I wasn't done tripping. He wasn't Dolph. I mean, that's what we know each other as. But it wasn't no ego thing. I didn't have 1,000 people with me. He didn't have 1,000 people with him. It was a one-on-one thing. Like my brother had passed in 2020, and Dolph was like the second person to call me. He just reached out just to see how I was doing, and he knew my brother too. So it kind of fucked with him. And he just he literally just reached out just to, just see how I was doing. And both times, like, when he had both kids, like, he called me excited. Of course, I've had kids since the beginning of my career, apparently. But, that's always been the thing with me, fatherhood. And when he first had a child, that was the conversation that, that was our recurring conversation, the fatherhood conversation. He's like, he got a baby coming, and he called me so excited, like, shit, you'd have thought we was brothers for real, like in real life, like, bro, I got a baby on the way, and he was super excited, and then he went in like fucking turbo mode, and like, that I said all that to say that our relationship from that first session became more personal than music. Even though we did a lot of music together, it still was more of the same way with Star. Like our shit, if anything, the three of us had a camaraderie that you don't much see from just music. This shit just it became a personal thing.
Before I end this conversation here, do you want to put a year on any of these three memories?
Oh, that's tough.
You already kind of described the time point, but I don't know if you want to put an exact year on it.
Now I couldn't put an exact year on any
Okay.
of this shit. My timelines are horrible.
Well,
But I'll say
you described the point of time in a sense where people could probably research it and figure it out, but I didn't know if you wanted to just...
well, I guess to draw it in a little, for like, the memory with Star, is it may have been 6 months before we put that Stepbrothers, the first Stepbrothers tape out. I don't know where the fuck you go to find out when that was released, but maybe like 6 months before that, that's when we really started to click. The J. Cole shit had to be like 20. It had to be like 2010, maybe late 2010. Had to be because it was Detroit and it was so fucking cold. So I know it was wintertime. So it was either late 2010 or early 2011. And the thing with Dolph was before Star. So the Dolph thing, maybe a year before I met Star. Now the actual dates, I'd be lying.
And for time reference, it's December 2021 now.
Indeed.